Lots of excitement from the crowd today. Thank you. Well, today we are wrapping up the product creation series. And so for me, for this session, I figured we would open it up to wherever you guys are at with the worksheets or what with you taken on in this series, or any other product related questions that you have about your products and services. So who has questions, who has comments? What do you guys want to work on? Nothing? No, everyone's business is making six figures and we're killing it? Okay. Just checking. There's usually something to talk about. Hey, Natasha.
Natasha can start us out. She likes talking.
I just got kicked out last minute from my home office. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll run outside.
So I opened up today's session, Natasha, by saying that it's our last opportunity to talk about product creation and to talk about anything that's been in the worksheets or we've talked about so far from the workshop that we did last week. And really it's about whatever you guys need. So any questions you have about your products, you know, tiering it, pricing it, what customer it's really for. I see Mikkel jumped in and said marketing. There is, let me open up the last worksheet.
I do have a question because like, it's coming from like a product tech space. Mm-hmm. We do like user groups, like A/B testing, obviously much more differently. I know Gail knows what I'm talking about. We do it so different than like I want to launch like a planner, like as like a product, but specifically for publicists.
Yes.
So I'm wondering like how long of a period should I do, like, I guess, like research groups and all of that? Like, what would you recommend is like a good time, like a good amount of time before I get all the feedback and then make changes and all of that?
It really varies based on, similar to in the digital space or tech space, on how big the size is that you're able to talk to. So if you're able to speak to 20, people in the PR world and do it in a month and you have all their feedback, I think that's good. But the testing part of product creation, it never really stops. It just shifts, right? So you don't want to test so long that you don't launch it. So I would recommend that if the testing phase can be less than 2 months, you're in a good space. For something that you're doing like a notebook, you should be able to do it in less than a month.
Yeah.
And because you might want to get like an initial read on, do people want a new journal? And if they do, maybe you mock one up or like even a page or two and say like test just a specific page or just a specific feature that you would add. And then you can gauge based on the feedback you've received if that is enough for you to say like there's an opportunity here. Because there's testing to make sure it works, and then there's also testing to make sure that there is demand or interest. One of the things that testing is an area people skip all the time, both to see if there's interest or to see if it would work. So being able to do both, and remember like that spiral chart, which I literally have a note of like, turn this into a graphic so I can stop holding up my silly piece of paper. But that's why it's a spiral as well, because you're continuing to refine and test elements. Like, why do people buy more navy blue than royal blue? Sometimes we don't have a scientific answer. We just have the facts that show that they do. So doing a really simple change, like changing, especially in a journal, right? Like changing the weight of the paper or changing, are there lines or no lines? Really, things that seem insignificant for like what you actually want people to do can make a big difference. Like I'm someone that only uses spiral bound or journals that can lay open all the way. Yeah. If they can't, I'm over, forget about it.
Yeah.
But that's me being OCD.
Yeah, there's also something I wanted to suggest to the group too. So I belong to a few PR communities, and there's been this reoccurring theme for a need, and the need has been a project management tracking tool, but very specific to like publicist needs. So what happens is we all end up just making Google Sheets. Like all of my clients have Google Sheets because I've used Jira, I've used Trello, I've used Asana, I've used every single board that there is, but to get to like what we need, there's not really anything. So I told Erin last week, I was like, we have an opportunity to build an actual product for this, because there is an actual need in the PR world, because there's such specific fields we need and different pop-ups that like to build it in Jira, oh my God, it would be a nightmare. And those that know Jira know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Well, and what I think is really unique, and it actually really parallels what I would probably need for my coaching world too, is that you have a CRM, which you need at one level that's like very specific about where clients are at, like active, inactive, like re-engage with them, like never talk to them again, like whatever you want it to be.
Right.
And then you also want to have like status of where those individual clients are. And then where status is of all the communication that you have on behalf of that client, right? Like I don't have nearly the number of outreach that you have per client, right? You have to track every single outreach you're doing for them. It's almost like you have 18 different pipes per client going at any time. But I still need to remember like, oh yeah, connect David with my web guy, or like there's all these interlaced things that I would love not to have to track in a spreadsheet but I agree with you. It becomes the easiest way. So if you guys can make that, do it.
And we have Gail to do UX UI, and then Erin can do the digital like coding side of it. But yeah, I mean, because I just see there's so many holes in those products that we're all used to using in some sort of capacity.
Yeah.
There just needs to be some niche down ones per industry, I believe. So
yeah, I have a whole racket against databases. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Erin will build you one. So
yeah, we need a new PLM, like product tracking one, definitely a better CRM one. They're all either too complicated or aren't customizable enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Because even if ultimately if it's moving people through a pipeline, you want to be able to make your own pipeline. And either the pipeline you can't change, or you can't change the customer details, or you can't blend the CRM with the pipeline.
Yeah. I literally like there was this giant thread and everyone just kept defaulting back to, well, I use 2 different softwares and toggle between them. And then I use a Google Sheet. And a lot of us were like, we just don't want to even go there. So we just use a Google Sheet that we've literally made our own custom headers and like, yeah.
Hey, Natasha, I wanted to give you something on regards to both of those with feedback and the product, right? So when you've got your tangible product and then you've got your digital product, you're trying to solve a problem with both, right? So you already know, you've gotten feedback, you've been working with clients, you know what they're trying to fix. So you can say what list out the individual things that your Jira board or your project management system is trying to fix, and then start there. And then with your actual book, the journal, you can do the same thing. So if you know people are having, it's not just like the content on the pages, but you know people like, you know what people like, you know what you're trying to get from it, you know what your target audience the paper, whether it be the fact that you don't want ink to go through to the other side, or you really like what's going on with this one, but you hate what's going on with that one. You wish you can combine the aspects of things together. So that's your starting point. And in regards to A/B testing, you don't have to A/B test right away. You can take the product that you're trying to make to solve the problem, get it into the hands of people. There's this thing called paper prototypes, even when it comes to a like a digital product, where you could just print it out and have someone go through it and give you feedback. And then when it's a tangible product, it's even better. You can send it home with someone, have it come back and give you feedback. You don't have to start by sending 2 separate products home with someone. Start by sending one. And then there's a percentage to your target audience, not just to some Joe Schmo who doesn't know what the heck they're talking about, has never worked with a product before. So you can narrow that down first, get a test group, send it home, and then say after a week, after a month, after whatever time period. And then you'll start to see repeating aspects of what they're replying to. And then you can start there. Now, when it comes down to the last statement I wanted to say is that you'll get like a massage gun or something like that one year that came out through Kickstarter, right? And then the next year or the year after that, what do they have? An update. What does Apple do? They have an update. They have like V2 or they have blah, blah, blah. So they get feedback along the way. And the point is not to consider that something that is a point of failure, but to consider that something as a point of learning. So when you get that feedback and everyone's commenting, I really like this, but I hate the fact that I don't have 2 strings. I only have 1 string because I really have to go on Mondays here and blah, blah, blah. Flip through the pages. It's irritating crap. But I'm a journal person, so I get, so there's things that I like and I don't know what I don't like yet, right?
Well,
So,
it's interesting, Gail, because I've been buying different ones to kind of do like competitor.
Yes. So research R&D, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
and like I'm like, yeah, I'm writing them all off. But the the closest I found was there's a new Kara. To your point, it lies flat. It's the Passion Planner came out with a new one that's a daily, and that's where I got the inspiration because I was like, there's so many cool things to this, but like I know that like all of the PR communities that I belong to, they're all still paper and then they translate it to digital.
Right.
But then when I saw this thread going crazy about the CRM and tracking, that's when I was like, oh man, that's another light bulb that went off in my head.
Right.
I was like,
you have to ask yourself, what's the value of each product? So if you have a tangible thing, I might have both. I might have spreadsheets, I might have this, and I might have that, but what am I getting from them? From the paper, there's something about having a tangible piece of paper and writing it down, whether you're an artist or whether you're a journaler or whether you're building a product, there is something about, the freedom of getting stuff onto paper and having it be more like not set in stone, it's like scratchy, that you can get from paper that you can't get from digital. So there is a need still for a paper product if you decided to focus on a journal, while at the same time, and possibly in tandem if you get the right team, working on something that is solving the CRM problem, right? So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying 2 different products solving 2 different needs. And once you start to really define to yourself and record that, whether it be on paper, but always, always make a Google Doc, okay? Because you're gonna go try to find that piece of paper in whatever journal you found and you have no idea where it is.
or like when
Make a Google Doc and name it.
I spilt my 30-ounce water bottle over my last planner, and because I color code everything, I sent it to Kara. It just looked like a giant
rainbow.
And Kara was
Oh
like,
my
well,
God.
at least it looks pretty. And I was like,
I love that. And my heart breaks for you as someone who is like totally terrified of losing all the papers.
I was like, I was just like, are you freaking kidding me right now? And I barely bumped my desk and my Hydro Flask went bam. And
The user testing thing for anybody in this group, I just want to say, decide exactly what problems, not exactly, focus on the problems you're trying to solve and narrow down your scope first. You're not trying to solve everybody's problems. You're trying to solve these problems for this specific target audience, and then translate that into a product. And then that's how you start getting it into people's hands and testing. It doesn't have to be a perfect product.
And that's
You'll get
exactly what you
feedback
do
and
for
then ask the
marketing,
right
too.
questions. When you ask these focus questions, you'll get the focused answers. But if you just leave a section in the end that says broad feedback, then you'll see if there's any repeated things in just this broad feedback section. But that's how you can, if you ever want to figure out how to set up a questionnaire, it's called something, I'm sorry, I have a title for it somewhere. Ask me, I already have that saved in my Google Docs. And I built it myself years ago, and it's something that I still look back on it and it still works.
oh girl, I took a bunch of my project management stuff from Mobilitywear when I left. So
Good, I'm really glad. I'm so glad.
Well, and I know Natasha already knows this, but exactly what you just said, Gail, like establishing and figuring out those pain points, like those are the things you're going to be marketing. And that's like your message to your audience of like, we solve for X, Y, and Z, and that's it. Like you can't solve everything, like Gail said, for everybody. But Natasha, if you're interested in like doing a planner, my previous boss actually came up with a planner, and I'm not sure if he's like still selling it because his manufacturer got hit hard by COVID because they were over in China. But he has a planner called the Show Up and Shine planner, and it's like a 3-quarter planner or I think it's a 1-quarter planner. So it's a 3-month planner, but it's like totally customizable. I still use it for my stuff. But I can send you his info if you want to connect with him, just to even like talk to somebody about creating a planner.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in that. For me, it's more finding like the manufacturers. This is another one. I put a link in there for you guys. This is like for those of you that love minimalism, Kara. This is like the coolest planner I've ever found because it's totally customizable and they do spiral. There's tons of, oh, thank you, Kara. Yay. So I'm kind of looking at doing a hybrid between the cloth and paper, and then like the new Passion Planner one that just came out. It's just more of like, I have a meeting next week with some of my closest PR friends that have been in the industry a long time to kind of like get their feedback and start kind of working on it from there. But yeah.
I just added a link to his planner too, if you wanted to check it out.
Cool, yeah.
Something to think about, Natasha, is a journal or a planner really is a knowledge sharing product, because you're not just giving people a notebook, you're taking them on a journey. And that's like what all of the knowledge sharing products are about. So there's structures that you can put into your planner that actually, like with a knowledge sharing product, one of the secrets is that only 25% of what goes into your product is actually the key concepts. The other 75% are all part of the secret structure that you can repeat in any of the formats, which takes it to the next level. It takes it from just a regular product to a transformational product. So I definitely look at that, the processes and the secret structures to like see how that fits into what the journal is, because the ones that journal people and planner people nerd out about are the ones that have all those extra features, right? Because as Alyssa mentioned, it's like how long is the planner for? A month? A year, a quarter? Because you have to think about like frequency and length, and like it's like all those different elements just in the formatting, but also what are the extra things that you put on it that make it transformational.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's just so much to it, like when it comes to like the PR side with like long pitch, short pitch, like all of the different like themes per month and oh yeah. So I have a whole list that I've already like put out. It's just more like now it's like, okay, talking to my other colleagues and figuring out like what everybody really would want and find useful. But yeah, I think I'm on the right track so far, I hope.
And I do see an opportunity based on where this conversation's gone already about just having an entire like monthly topic about organizing our businesses. So I'm going to add that to my list of things to talk about, because
I do want to say real quick that if you have a PR planner, you're working from perspective someone who's already been working in PR, has a group of people who you know that are working in PR who's giving you feedback. So someone who just starts working in PR is going to get this book and learn something from it. Learn what they have to do, learn how they're supposed to structure their thoughts, learn how they're supposed to handle their clients, because each top header is. So it's a learning book. If you're focusing on PR, I'm not going to get the Lecturum journal that I get every month. If I'm dealing with PR, I'm going to get your journal, because I need to make sure that it's a PR structured journal, and the PR person knows that I need to split it off, my journals, by this section of time. You know, it's for me as a business owner and a product designer, it might be quarterly, but for a PR person, it might be whatever that degree is. So make sure you narrow down. You're going to answer the questions for yourself based off of the knowledge that you're confident and you're trusting yourself that you have, because you are an expert in what you do, and you have a social network. You're lucky enough to have a social network, and lucky enough to have that drive to build a product as well as have the social network, because there's plenty of people who know what they're doing and don't have a drive to build this product. So I'm really confident in what you're doing, by the way. I'm like excited for you.
Gail and I worked together on a game for a competition and we won. So she knows how competitive I am when it comes to building products.
So Nikela asked in the chat about marketing. So marketing, well, we have separate like marketing pillars coming up in future months, just like we had social media in a past month. But there is a spreadsheet. Worksheet 3 is a marketing and sales like high level. So the 3 things that you need to know for marketing your product are being able to clearly answer, what does it provide to the world? What does it provide to the buyer? And what makes it unique? And usually we can't answer that question. And they're like pretty simple questions, but we can't answer them. And it ties back into the hook, story, close concept of how do you have your hook, your story, and your close for every product that you offer. And so much of the people think that marketing and sales are different, and they're not at all. In fact, selling is in the definition of marketing. That's why you do any marketing that you do. And we forget that it's a conversation. So if you can answer those 3 questions and be able to talk to somebody about it in person, you can easily start translating that into the other avenues of how you can share your product. Another secret that I work with all of my clients all the time, because everybody wants a super fancy marketing plan, and it's that until you've exhausted your personal network with options, you may not be ready to go to the next level of marketing when you start talking and interacting with strangers. So how have we used the network that we have, just like Gail was mentioning for Natasha, even for the testing? Have we told everyone in our circle? The first thing I have clients do is who have like a new product in particular is send an email out to everyone in their contact list, like a personal email, and tell them what they're offering, why they're excited, who it benefits, what the benefits are, and 3 ways that people can support them. Buy it, recommend it to somebody else, or like follow them or join their newsletter. But like most people haven't even told the people in their life and network that they're even doing these things. You know, I have a client who has like 1,500 followers on Medium, but never put in their bio that they do courses. I was like, we got to update your bio like tomorrow. Because you're not telling anyone that you're open for business. So really look first before you go into a complex marketing plan. Have you told everyone that you're open for business and what your business is? Because you'll get surprised at who's a yes and who gives you referrals and who, like, where the momentum comes from.
I just want to say that is a checklist that is hard to remember. When you're first starting out, you go, oh man, I'd love to just reach out to everyone in my office. Natasha knows. How did I start my business? I started by selling to people in the office. Mm-hmm. There was a core group of people who were my target demographic, and I didn't even know what my target demographic was at the time. But then when I did my first Kickstarter, I reached out to my friends and my family, and I made a list of people who I knew in the industry who might like want to support me. And I reached out to, you know, businesses who might want to post about me because I knew them, and, you know, sent out emails and talked to my family and posted on my personal Facebook. And I don't do that anymore. And I never thought about the fact that as I'm building new products, I need to start from that journey again with that on my checklist, because it is a checklist. And I like that, you know, you're giving us check off your friends, check off your social network. And that's all part of the foundational process before you jump into the complex. And I needed that reminder. I completely would have never told anybody that because I completely forgot.
Well, one of the must-haves also on my private client list is the community map. So who are all the people you've ever met in your entire life? Most people know 3,000 to 5,000 people, either on social media or in your actual phone, like you have their phone number or you have their email. So you literally, it's a document that you never finish, right? It's always being ongoing. But I have this document where I have columns of like people I know from every different place I've lived, and I lived in a ton. I moved my whole life growing up. Who do I know from college friends, people who played field hockey with, my first job, my second job, my third job, living in that city. Like I make lists. And so I'm constantly going onto Facebook or LinkedIn and like adding to that list. And that's part of like my CEO work, because there's someone that you haven't reached out to, right? Like when I was going to do Powerful Ladies events in Portland, I literally went into my LinkedIn, searched for Portland, and I was private messaging everyone that, hey, we're coming to Portland, we're coming to Portland, we're coming to Portland. And I even reached out to people that I didn't know that looked like they were our demographic that were in Portland. And it always surprises me that like a year later, I'll still get a random message in my LinkedIn inbox being like, hey, sorry, I missed this. Like, this looks cool. I'm checking out Powerful Ladies. I'm like, okay, awesome. Right. So look at who you're connected to on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, make that a top priority to make sure you are on LinkedIn. And then look at Facebook, look at who's on Instagram, go through your phone, go through, like if you have 15 emails, how do you put all your contacts into one place? And you start to use your personal contacts like a CRM. So I have columns next to all these people that say like, when did I reach out? Did they get a mass email? I put the date on, not just a yes or no, a date. So I can see when's the last time I've like been in communication with them. So until everyone I know has been contacted by me, like that job's not done. So of course, based on either for Powerful Ladies or for the coaching business, I've also prioritized these lists. So even though I keep running lists going when I remember somebody or like create a new list, I have a separate tab in that document that are like high priority people. So I have a list of every female entrepreneur I know, every male entrepreneur, anyone that has a side hustle. So how do you make that for your own business, right? Like Kendra should have a list every time somebody gets engaged or gets married. Or right? Like if they get engaged or get married, like there should be a congratulations from Sprinkle with Pink. Because then you're just like planting it in there, just like when somebody moves and you get the moving packet. Mm-hmm.
I'd also argue that your business's email list, like even if you're not actively driving to get people to sign up right now, like they are now part of your warmer audience because they did sign up for your email list at some point. So yeah. I know my email list, I was really good in the beginning about emailing every week, and then I kind of fell flat and told everybody that, hey, we're not doing weekly emails anymore, but at least that's a list that I will always have. And Kara, I think you talk about it all the time of like, if Instagram were to go down tomorrow, your email list is something that you'll still have. So I think that's important too when launching anything.
And then also if you guys have Instagram and you have an email list and you've emailed your personal network, the next question then is how do you convert your passive contacts? So people who follow you on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest, or they're in your personal email, but they're not on your email list. How do you move them over? That's like the next game. How do you start converting people to your active email list? And we're going to do an entire month talking about email marketing because it's so important to every business now. But we can't layer on any layer of complex marketing if we don't know why we're doing it, who we're doing it for, and what we're going to provide. And we can't explain what makes us different. I need to go check when it is. But yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah. So what specifically about marketing, Mikkel, were you looking for?
I was just going to blend. I don't know. I guess I feel like that's my Achilles heel, because I feel like I have great classes, great products, but I don't feel like enough people know about them. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm always like, okay, well, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram for kicks and giggles, because I don't necessarily know that people are looking for that on Instagram, but you know. Mm-hmm. And then YouTube, like I feel like I'm in the right places, I think, but I don't really know, like, is there something else that I should be doing to make it more meaningful, or for like that message mm-hmm. to resonate more? I mean, I know one of the things that you had said previously was that we think we're talking about it enough, but we're not, you know, and I always think to myself, gosh, I've already posted that, so maybe I shouldn't post it again. But I forget that, like, not everybody's seen it the first 20 times.
I
Your
gotta say,
highest performing
I did a
content will perform just as
Yes.
well if you repost it.
Yes, I tested it. I'm in the active social media testing saying, I haven't posted this in like a year, but it performed really well. Tell me why it performed even better the second time, because I know more now. I handled my hashtags better. I edited the colors very, very slightly, and I added an image that I knew would also, perform well right next to it. So if it, as the Instagram Explorer, as you like scroll down, it shows one or the other, depending on, I don't know, some algorithm. Either way, I can tell you by experience that the highest performing ones do have a big potential of performing well again.
Here, ready? Let's play a game. Everybody flip over your phone so you can't see it. Who can tell me what was Monday's Powerful Ladies post? It's only been 4 days. No one knows.
About the course, I'm assuming.
What's that?
About the course.
But do you remember what the picture was without looking?
No, I do not.
Anyone remember? How about yesterday?
I will blame that on, though, the algorithm does not show me your content enough. Like, I physically have to go to your page
But
to look
that's
at
not
your new
something to
stuff.
feel guilty on. That's a point. She's making, the point is
I know,
amazing. And I'm
I know.
like in love with this point because I needed to hear that. No one knows what you wore yesterday. I'm sorry. They don't care that much about that. Mind you, if you want to make conscious decisions into how to do it right, you can consider something that posted well, consider how long it's been in between and what you're focusing on selling coming up. There's a lot of things to consider, but the holding back of reposting something because someone's seen it before, that's a good point.
Well, this comes.
We actually have
No, you go, Kendra.
we have our holiday collection. Last year it was so draining. We did way too many products. We did a 5-hour photo shoot. It was like thinking about it again, we were like, oh my God, we have to do that again. It's coming up. And so instead of doing that this year, we've decided to not do the photo shoot whatsoever and repost the entire collection for this year's holiday. So it's great. It was great content. I don't think anyone's going to remember, and it saves us a boat ton of work. So I think you're right completely.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on IG, most people are not going to scroll down that far, especially like last December versus this
Yeah,
December.
whole year.
But if you are worried about that main grid, like depending on how often you post, like if you're only a once a week or a couple times a week, like every 3 months, you can kind of look at what you did, in the last 3 months and just start resharing that content. Or if you don't want to reshare the exact same thing, use the same concepts to create something slightly different if you're worried about your feed. But yeah.
And if you look at bloggers too, they're posting
the
the same thing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say
They're posting like the same thing.
Yeah. No, this is like it's exactly that. Like whether it doesn't matter what the content is, blog posts, emails, Instagram, LinkedIn, doesn't matter what the content is that you're using for marketing. Opt-ins, freebies, you can literally repeat it all or put it into a cycle. Because here's the truth: if you've narrowed down your hook, story, close, you know what the pain points are for your customers, they're going to be the same. So why wouldn't you say the same thing over and over again, right? Like there's like funny ones for your world, Mikkel, right? Like, oh, did you just get a graphic design job and you don't actually know how to use Illustrator? Like, call me. Like that's like that's going to happen every day. So
That's so true.
mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, Mikkel, because I did your panel for the Pencil to Production, you had such a great sign up and show rate that you have such a huge email list already started. And even for some of those people that attended that have already graduated, you could tell them to like reach out to friends that maybe are starting out or are interested and, need some mentorship, or if they need a refresher course. Like, I feel like there's so many ways that you could tap back into that network.
Yes.
From an email marketing campaign side of things.
It's funny because my husband told me the same thing.
You don't always think the same, I swear.
And I think that's one of the things, like with the 2 events, because we did one last year and then we did the one earlier this year. I don't think I'm making use enough of the people who actually attended and like reaching back out to them as much as I could.
Are you using an email automation system or a CRM? And if you don't know what those are, I can explain for anyone that's like, what is Kara saying?
I am now. I wasn't last year.
So I keep looking for the perfect blend for me too, because I haven't found one yet. So I have what looks like a spreadsheet of a psychopath. Like literally anyone that has ever touched the Powerful Ladies universe, their name is on this list, and like going off into infinity. I have any action anyone could have ever taken. So I know, like, I can see who came to a bunch of monthly meetups and then stopped. And I can be like, hey, you haven't been here for 3 months. You want to come back? Like that, the customization of contact with your customers is really where the conversions start changing in whole new levels. So each person that shows up to anything you have, they're interested in what you have to offer. So the next question is, how do you create unique paths for them to move to the next point for them? So the next point for them might be something really passive, like, oh, hey, we noticed you're not you haven't followed us on Instagram yet. And that's the first thing you can. So you start to make really specific customer journeys for them where they get the 7 touches faster or they remember more. So at a minimum, I would recommend ConvertKit for people because it allows you to both give them, they have tags, which the tags are for if somebody takes an action, like they sign up for an event or a preview or they buy something, they get tagged with that event. So you know what offensive actions they're taking, but then you also get to create like categories for people. So you can put like what city they're in, things that don't change as much. So if you want to do an email just to people in New York City, like, hey, I'm doing a local something, you can focus just on that group of people. So having a sophisticated platform like that, like, yes, it's email marketing, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's sorting all of your people. The other one that people really recommend because it combines email and CRM is Active Campaigns.
Okay.
That's one that like I know Marie Forleo uses. I think like other people in her network use it as well because it lets you
does.
Come again?
Jenna Kutcher does too.
Yeah, and so it lets you like get really specific and see where everyone's at. So
What was that one that you said a bunch of people are
What's it
using?
called?
The 2 I recommend are ConvertKit, which lets you do lots of automations and all the tagging and all the sorting. But then Active Campaign is like a level up where it's a combo CRM and email system. Because it's all really just customer management. Everyone that comes to you, you're figuring out how do I get them to come back? How do I offer them more? How do I keep them engaged? So that's why like stopping product creation can become really important because how do we stop creating more products so that we can pivot to just maximizing the products that we have? And it's for someone who is like a diehard product creator, I'm like, no, I just want to make stuff all day. But now I get to like pivot and make these customer journeys. So I'm trying to like turn it into strategic creativity versus, you know, how I enjoy spending my time, which is like, how many things can I put in a t-shirt? Because I need more t-shirts.
It's super hard as an artist because we want to just keep creating, and it's even harder in the pin community where they all just want what's hot and what's new. So, but if I feel like there's a way, and I'm on this path, I'm just thinking about it out loud right now. There's a way to set yourself up to always have a backlog of a release cadence and creating something new. And maybe you're only doing that designing aspect on things heavily every like once a quarter versus all the time, or anytime something is coming up, you're like right back on the grind. And then the rest of the time in between is planned out for all the other stuff you're talking about, right? But my problem is I fill in that extra time in between with more product creating. I'm like, oh, by the way, I can do a bag, and now I can do like this whole series on this theme and this fandom, and oh my God, there's a cause that came up. I have to create something for it. Not that exciting. But what I'm saying is my brain tunes into these things and I shift gears, always filling up my time instead of having the freedom to do this extremely time-consuming task that you're talking about. I mean, it is like revealing, it is helpful, it is going to bring in money, but I can tell you that even the dive that I've taken so far with just the product or financial side of arranging documents and figuring all that stuff out is like, it's not killing me. It's just, it's definitely like feels like an endless loop right now playing catch up and getting myself there. Yes. It is a huge revealing, and it's helping me with all things coming up, but the time sink is not drawing stuff for the next like 12 hours or 18 hours.
Yeah, and part of what I didn't include in depth in this product creation process list is finishing the marketing automations, because it's just like a next level that I don't want to overwhelm people with if like you only need 20 people to show up, right? But that's exactly what we're diving into for Powerful Ladies in September and October are these journeys. Because like if you have a knowledge sharing product in particular, until you have a way for the journeys to work automatically, like people can already sign up for this community any day they want to, right? We've automated the sign up process. How do we automate the welcome process? How do we automate like the other things that we can set up for them? That's why platforms like Kajabi are great in like having it all integrated, because they allow you to like connect everything on one platform. But your product creation process really isn't done until you've automated and set up how people are going to find it and how people are going to, once people use it, what's next for them. Does that make sense? Okay.
So yeah, it makes sense. And in regards to like getting to the point of having all that stuff done, it's a time sink in its own. So ideally on the other side of it, what you're saying is once it's automated, that time can be delegated to other things, or that time can be prioritized by other things because it's already done.
Yeah,
It's
like
already automated.
for if you made one pin, right? You were just starting, you'd have a way for people to find that one pin. Once they bought it or looked at it, whatever action they did, you would then have options for what's next. So that's where you start creating this web of interconnectivity. Like, oh, you bought pin 1, do you want pin 2? You don't like pin 2? What about pin 3? And like you literally keep moving people through to what's next. And like any business can be this way, right? Like, oh, you came to a Powerful Ladies monthly meetup, you should check out the community. Oh, you checked out the community, do you want coaching? You've already got coaching, do you want to take my course? Oh, you took the course, do you want to become, did you get this download? Did you read my free ebook? Which, Kendra, I still need to send you. I saw your email. So like there's always something else to be offering people. Like literally in the course, I think I referenced 10 times the book, How to Give a Mouse a Cookie, the kids book. Because once you give someone one thing, they're like, either you should be offering them what's next, or you should have it set up where they're asking for what's next. And that takes so much of the pressure off. Like, so how do we close the loop in the marketing piece, which is really the selling piece? Thoughts? Is everyone's mind whirling with like, oh shit, I need to make customer journeys?
I always am. And my mind's always whirling whenever you add something else. I'm like, yeah, marketing automations and interconnectivity between what the next, I'm just like, I love it. I love it. It's so revealing.
What are you thinking, Natasha?
My computer's just so slow. It's killing me today. And it's also very hot out on this balcony, and I keep staring inside, waiting for Aaron to get off the phone. Right now. No, I've been working on customer journeys and email campaigns for Powerful Ladies. So this is actually all very helpful when you guys talk, because this goes into my user personas that I'm building out for Powerful Ladies. So sometimes I'm just listening and I'll just stare off into space because I'm absorbing and taking notes at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, like, how do you start?
Perfect. You want the simple version? Okay. You take anyone that has taken one of your courses so far and put them into a spreadsheet.
Okay.
It's literally where it starts. You just make a spreadsheet with first name, last name, and whatever contact info you have about them. And then I would do a column for either each event or each course that you have, and just mark which one they've attended or what date they've done it.
Okay.
And that's it. And then once you have that compiled, you get to look at it and say, okay, what am I selling right now and who's a perfect fit? And then you just email them or call them, text them.
Okay.
Yeah, but it all starts with having that master list.
I like that because I can do that with my patrons. I can put everyone that has been a patron into my spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and then I can also put that with my Shopify list for in regards to like emailing about Patreon. So see if I can get conversions between the two would be really nice because right now they're completely separate. Well, they're mostly separate. I'm not focusing on it.
Yep. And customer lists, right? So any of you that have a true like retail type of store, if you have a list of all your customers, if you use Shopify, I'm pretty sure it tells you the last time that they've purchased something. So you can see who hasn't bought something in a year, send them an email with a discount code. Like we want you to come back. Who hasn't been there for 6 months? Give like, it keeps, you can send people different communications based on what you want them to do. But the people you already have in your list are that's why it says it's more expensive to get a new customer than to keep the ones you have. Because new customers take so much effort. There's so many steps you have to do to get a new customer. If you already have their email or phone number, you just have to call them or email them. Like it's so low cost. So, what are you doing to invite them back? That's it. And, so when you want to switch to an email automation or you want to switch to a CRM platform, it's really whenever like the email maintenance is too much work or the manual part is too much work for you. But you don't ever need to switch if your group is small enough where you can totally manage it. So like even everyone that I've emailed about the new course, I have a spreadsheet for that. What date I emailed them? Did they buy it? Like, are they in the automation system we have going for it? I'm tracking it all because if I'm doing the work, I want to see how effective my work is. So that's also the crazy person that I am. Like if I'm taking an action, I want to be able to measure it so I know what has to change.
Can I ask you a question? I have a intern that is starting to focus on email campaigns and stuff like that. So this is really helping me focus on what I can bring up in our next one-on-one.
Yeah.
But our major question is, since MailChimp limits the capacity, MailChimp is actually the best that I've seen so far. Maybe I'm missing something. MailChimp seems to be the best. But since I'm limiting how many people I can mail to, because it's only a cap of 2,000 and mine keeps going over 2,000, we keep unfortunately having to delete people to be able to send out an email that day.
Is that because of the one you're paying for, or is that a MailChimp? That can't be a MailChimp thing.
MailChimp is free for under 2,000 people that are on your email list. The minute you get 2,001 people, you have to pay $50 a month.
Okay, real quick. Perfect. I want to make sure we cover that before we move on. So what is your average customer order?
I can get that answer. It's on Shopify.
But is it like roughly are they spending $20 if somebody buys from you?
I'm pretty sure that it is $35 on average. It's because I'm always trying to focus on setting my sales to encourage people to buy more than my average. So I'll say, buy $50 worth of stuff, get $5 off, rather than saying buy $20 stuff, get free shipping, because I already know that more people buy 35 or under, and I want them to buy over.
Okay, so ready for some magic calculator?
Magic calculator.
Yep. All right, so Kara's math. If you only have 2,000 people that you can talk to, which is a lot, it's a big email list. We want to get your email list as big as possible. So for the cost analysis of moving to the higher bracket, so you never delete anyone, you have the freedom you want, you only need 2 people to buy something every month, and it covers that. So the other thing to think about is if you have 2,000 people and that's the cap of who you can communicate with, and if you maybe get 10% to convert a month, and the average order is $35, you only can make $7,000 a month.
I'm really upset by that math.
What's that?
I'm really upset by the math. It just, you know how I am. And the math makes my brain explode. And when it makes logical sense, it makes me want to throw up, because that's just, you just said 2 people. You literally just put it into perspective. If you get 2 conversions, it pays for itself.
Yes.
That conversation is something I have with other people, and I'm not having it with myself. That's beautiful. Thank you. You can keep going. I'm sorry. Don't let me interrupt you. I love you. I want to hear more.
Yeah. No, but that's why I had to stop you, right? Because so often there's we think some of these tools are really expensive, but when we do, when we figure out the break even for using them, it's like crazy low. Like I was talking to somebody the other day who is resisting setting up their own online scheduling system. Like I use Acuity so people can book with me and just figure it out. And they're like, oh my gosh, but it's like $125 a year. And I was like, yeah, but you get 40 hours of your life back every week. So it's like pennies on the hour that you would spend or on the person that you would be working with. So whenever we're thinking about adding something new into our business, these automation, because literally it's a delegate and automate option, right? So do the cost breakdown of how many hours do you have to work to make it worth it? Or how many customers do you need to cover it? And because we don't want you thinking I have to, just make it self-sustainable. Because we want you to have 50,000 emails, right? Because you have 50,000 emails and we get 1% or even 10% of those to do anything, and it's $35, that's $175,000. I like that one more than 7, but yeah. So yeah, and there's always the free option, but that's why they give it to you free. And when you end up converting, it's always, if your business is moving in the right direction, it's worth it. So I'd rather talk about bigger costs than $50 a month when it just takes 2 customers. Yeah. Since we're on that topic, anyone have something like that they've been debating about?
You helped me recently, Kara, about inventory management. We talked about, there's, I have this obnoxious spreadsheet of our inventory. And it's a huge hassle. So she's like, well, why don't you use a platform? And I said, well, it's $500 a month. And she's like, okay. And how many hours a month are you spending on inventory right now? And what a headache. And how many customers get the email saying we're out of stock and we didn't know. And so once we went through that exercise, it was a no-brainer to spend $500. So still looking for the platform if anyone has a good one, but definitely the right way to go.
Another platform that we need to make. So we'll just create an entire Powerful Ladies series of platforms that solves all of our problems. Yeah.
By the way, Travis is in. You can side check that.
Yes.
Other business for you, Kara.
I need Travis. I need to talk about my PLM/inventory master platform. Yeah.
The other one I'm struggling to figure out the math on, I guess, or to figure out if it's worth it, is Hootsuite. We did a whole bunch of research to see if Hootsuite was the right one for us. And I'm getting a bunch of shaking heads.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that I just brought this up because I've been holding back on giving them my money. And you're saying, no, don't do it.
There's so many other versions that are either cheaper, better, free, Hootsuite. Hootsuite is the one, I don't know why when anybody starts a business, that's the one they start using first. It's almost
because they have really
one.
good marketing. They have really good marketing and
they do have really good marketing,
and
but
they have
it's just
really
not
good
good.
blogs. Well, they have
It's
really
not
good blogs and really good SEO, and they have really, really solid. So you're like, oh, I'm just going to convert on this.
Yeah,
They have
but it's not good.
outages. They have the most outages out of anybody too.
Yeah, I'd also say that every service has either a free trial or a free version. So sign up for the free version first to test it out and see if that's what you want to go with. But yeah, Hootsuite is one of the worst ones.
We used Hey Orca at a marketing agency previously. So I really liked Hey Orca. I know a lot of you use Planoly. So those
Planoly.
Yeah, I mean,
those
those
are your objectives. Planoly is going to be the best if you need to visually plan things out. Planoly. But then there's other ones that if you're caring more about insights and you want to track, it's really just about the objectives. And I think you need to look through the different ones and see
So
what they're offering.
did the process of looking through the different ones, like a whole thing. I have interns, guys. Remember, that's one thing Kara has granted me with the freedom of being able to say I can find interns. And they have done a whole bunch of research. I have documents spread out on like different options. Of course, I've never done Hey Orca because I've never heard of it, but I'm wrote it down. But in regards to Hootsuite, it's trying to accomplish the idea of having more than one person logged onto the same one, having more than one platform I'm managing at the same time, and having data and insights to work from all three in the same place. And I'm pretty sure that Planoly is mostly for Instagram and not for things like Twitter and all the other interconnected places I'd like to go with. So if I can resolve that on one platform, that's my goal. And I just haven't invested into Hootsuite to see if it's worth it, or Hey Orca to see if it solves another problem. So if you guys have suggestions, someone just said Sprinkler.
Actually, this reminds me, I wanted to ask people, so in the topics that we have in the community, there's a chat feature too. And so I would love for like all the platforms you guys recommend, like dump them in there, dump them in the social media category so everyone knows where to go back and find them. Because they're really, I mean, these are important things as like resources to recommend. Something I would ask yourself first, Gail, is do you need all those platforms to achieve your objective? Is it maybe distracting based on where you could focus to get the biggest impact? And like, can some of them be manual versus automated? So I don't know how many people you're converting right now from Twitter versus from Instagram versus Facebook or other platforms, but even just focusing on one could easily triple your business. So instead of going wide, how do you just focus on one and whichever one's performing the most for you right now? Because once you've got one working, just like a product or another automation that we could set up somewhere, once one's working and you've got a system for it, then you can tackle the next one. Because
so that's where I'm at actually right now. Because I'm freaking Instagram guru, and I'm trying to take a step back and understand how much control I have over Instagram, and it's growing in just like a month. It's crazy. But with I set my goals, I even wrote them down and I shared them. And one of the goals is to expand to other platforms, to test and see what audiences are on other platforms and if it's worth and what I can release separately, and then get data, because I'm working from like 35K right now for Instagram, and I'm working from 130 for Twitter because I don't use it. So since it's such an easy convert, I'm utilizing that and I'm doing it manually while my intern is doing it manually.
This is, if you came to me and just said, I'm a Shopify product-based business, where should I focus my energy? I would say Instagram first, Pinterest number 2. Because Pinterest and YouTube send people directly to your website. They're direct links. So you can avoid, and they're searchable in a different way. So you can avoid a lot of the algorithms. So Twitter is not where I would spend your energy at all. And you're so visual. So Pinterest is also going to be really important for you.
I just took a Pinterest class last night, so I just want to like add this real quick too. A lot of people forget and don't realize that Pinterest is a search engine just like Google. So they don't really, I mean, they have an algorithm, but it's not the same as Facebook and Instagram. It's more SEO based. So especially if you're a very visual product and you can describe in keywords what your product is, like it's going to be huge for you, I think, Gail. But the other thing is it's very slow growing. Like this is what, and I'm not saying this as an expert, this was an expert that taught me this last night, but she was saying that a lot of people get on Pinterest and think it's going to be life-changing for them, like right off the bat. And it's not. It's a very slow growing, like 3 to 4 month kind of build up. But if you can post there, like 3 to 5 times a day, repin other people's content, pin your own content. Like it's a great way. Like Kara said, those links are going straight to your shop, straight to different landing pages. So it could be huge for product businesses.
I needed that.
And it lives for a long time too. Like Instagram dies in a day. And like when I search Pinterest, I see the same 10 pins all the time on Bachelorette.
It lives for like a year or something like that. Yeah.
I have to
even
tell you guys,
longer, like at least in my space too. So, but I think one thing that we learned on Pinterest was that we were getting a lot of users. Like we had up to 800,000 monthly viewers on Pinterest, but they weren't converting either. So I think making sure that your content isn't just random things you're pinning, but even ours weren't random, but making sure that they're converting as well and you're pinning the right items.
But it's good for brand awareness because if you're getting 800,000 views a month, like those people, they may not click through to your shop from Pinterest, but maybe the next time their friend gets married or the next time they get engaged and they got to go search for something bachelorette, they're going to remember your shop and go there from there.
And
I hope so. There's like 5 people a month though coming to our shop from Pinterest with those 800,000 people. So I don't know.
Yeah, or they're going to
Not
go to
sure
your
what's
link
happening
or
there.
your Instagram from there. So like they could also hop straight onto their phone and look through Instagram if they're viewing it desktop versus mobile. So I think you can't track all of that obviously, which is really annoying. But I
Yeah.
would say for brand awareness, like that's a brand awareness play for you if you're getting 800,000 views a month.
I have 211,000 views without even using Pinterest right now. And I already have a business page set up that I'm not using because I did that in this process of trying to figure all this
We're
out.
making all of our
So I
brains
have a
melt
business
right
hub.
Use it.
I know,
Gail,
you
use
guys.
it.
This is why I'm here. This is why you guys are my like key community for growth in regards to like figuring, because okay, we've already done the practice. I have over 30 jobs. And I know that because I did this class. Our first workshop was like forever ago, and I learned how many jobs I have. So I always have to figure out where I'm focusing my energy and what I'm putting my mind into. And social media is such a big one for me. So now I just have to prioritize it. And to think about prioritizing Pinterest over Twitter is like a huge accomplishment for me because you're right and you have reasons that are valid. Like this all makes sense. And it's the same person I'm talking to. It's the same intern managing all those 3 tasks: email, Twitter, and Pinterest. So I'm gonna have
I need
that
your
conversation
intern.
tomorrow. I have 3 of them. One of them's the 18-year-old boy is kind of a flake, but I'm working on him. The other 2 are great.
As we're wrapping up, the last thing I want to say about Pinterest is that, Mikhail, if you're not using it, I would recommend as well, especially if you do any blog type things, right? Like it's so great for searchable things with numbers, like 5 ways to, 5 ways to use Adobe to design your next tech pack or something, right? Like that's a horrible one, but you know what I mean? So like, how do you tie it back to blogs or things you posted that people can search for because they use it like YouTube? Like people go there for self-help or they go there to like solve a problem or learn how to do something so often. So if you offer a skill that solves a problem, it's so easy to link a blog post to Pinterest by just having a vertical photo that you can reshare and tie back to it. So thinking about that from that perspective as well. And same for you, Gail. So it doesn't need to be like all product or all pretty pictures. It can really be things you can make in Canva of like, we've talked about it, Kendra, 10 stops to make in Miami on your bachelorette trip, right? And it ties back to a blog post on your website, which then would have the products that would be like, oh, here's your entire kit. So again, this is like that journey concept of how do you tie it all together. The great
and
news,
you also can buy, you can buy these kits on Creative Market that already make the Canva, templates for you too. And one thing we found with the blog post was I'm not a good blog writer. So I was thinking about who can write it for me and I don't have to pay them. And so I thought about my bachelorette planning people. And so I'm like, I have bachelorette planners in every city. So why don't they write this blog post? So I think you can tap into your community and literally make them make the content for you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do that stuff, but.
I love it. So this wraps up our month about product creation. And next month we dive into dream customers, which is really the next step, right? Because that's where we make the bridge between creating these customer journeys, because we don't want to make customer journeys for people we don't actually want as customers. So how do we choose the right people? How do we make sure that we're talking to the right people? All of that stuff. So that's what will be coming up. We do have Rise and Thrive next week, and we do have our call next week, but then Labor Day, Rise and Thrive is canceled because it's Labor Day and we all need a break. And then that Thursday for the discussion, Natasha will be leading all of you guys because I will be on vacation. So you are in amazing hands, but we've got one more week and then before all that happens, but just so you know. So that's it. Yes, and I will see you guys all on Monday. Oh, Natasha, yes.
Kara is going to be on In Style with Clearly Kristen tonight. I posted it in Thrive Collective. So Everyone take a look. It'll be on Facebook Live, and then it'll be replayed on the Herd Network.
I'm going to be on TV. Whoa. No. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you later.